Welcome to Quora Anonymous. If this is your first time and you like the video, please like and subscribe. If you would like to read along, turn on closed captioning with the 3 dots in the upper right corner. Now, let's begin. Do you have a special ability that your parents dismissed but later discovered was really cool? I was the one who dismissed it, or rather, didn't realize it was a special ability until I noticed a pattern. If I like a person, platonically, it doesn't work for romantic relationships, but I have an uneasy feeling about them all, even if I don't like them, but get this feeling about them for seemingly no reason. They are a bad person. Person 1, my 3rd grade teacher. I don't remember telling my mom that he made me uncomfortable, but she does. He clearly favored his female students. He ended up being fired because this special attention started freaking out one of my classmates who had been molested sometime in her past. At first he kept his job, but was told by the principal and the parents not to contact them, sent them a letter apologizing for making their daughter uncomfortable. Now, I'm hoping he wasn't a pedophile and just had this weird and unacceptable way of interacting with prepubescent girls, but that's not the way my gift works. My gift alerts me to people who are bad, not clueless idiots who do bad things without meaning to be bad. So, realistically, he was a pedophile who may or may not have actually scratched that particular itch. Second person, my 2nd cousin's, now ex-husband. Lots of fun to be around, but I was uneasy around him. Well, he was a very smart dude who wasted his intelligence on get-rich-quick schemes. So far he just sounds like an idiot, right? Well, one get-rich-quick scheme was this: he agreed to be a hitman. Yep. He never killed anyone, because it was a sting operation. He claims he was going to take the money and run, that he was never going to go through with killing his target. He's in prison last I heard. I think my cousin divorced him before his hitman idea. Third person, first cousin's, now ex-husband. Also fun to be around. Also uneasy around him. Turned out he was verbally, emotionally, and maybe physically abusive to my cousin. Really did a number on her body image and self-confidence. And he ended up going to prison for CP. Fourth person, my now ex-boyfriend's mom. Okay, it didn't take long for me to hate her. She treats him like a child, yet expects him to care for her and her husband as they age, and for his older brother who has the developmental age of a 5-year-old. My ex is autistic and is disabled by it. I had a realistic view of his maturity and abilities, a maturity of approximate an 18-year-old without the teenage reckless stupidity, but incapable of being truly independent. One time his mom became convinced that her son would leave her for me and proceeded to become mentally and verbally abusive. You are incapable of being a husband, you can't survive without us. He was never going to break his promise to care for them and his brother until his parents had been railing on him for a week. He snapped. His mom realized her tactics were having the unintended effect of pushing her son away from them. No Sherlock, and she and his dad started apologizing profusely and promising to support our relationship. A full 180 in less than 5 minutes. It was then that I hated her. Of course my ex forgave her and was convinced that was her last outburst. Future Mill was fully on board. But I was uneasy. She alone made me uneasy. Ex's dad didn't. He was just his wife's minion and would get caught up in her antics, or she'd manipulate him to do as she wanted. Long story short, the mom realized that I had her son's ear. I had made him realize that his parents' expectations of him weren't realistic. Well, that was unacceptable to her. Only mommy dearest has the right to influence her boy, so she started the same shenanigans, which culminated in me and her son breaking up. He now believes what she says about me being manipulative and vindictive. My gift was correct yet again. Ex-boyfriend's mom is a horrible person. I too have a special ability that I don't know what it is called. When I was 3 to 4 years old, I would accompany my parents to a variety of places. Frequently when my parents were talking to another adult, one of the adults would have a concern or problem that they didn't know how to fix the problem. It had nothing to do with being book smart or even having a lot of experience, as I was just 3 years old. However, I would look at the adult and tell them how to fix the problem. After this happened a few times, my mother would tell me to be quiet because nobody likes a know-it-all. I can't imagine me being snotty or sarcastic about it. I just somehow knew the answer. After being reprimanded several times as a child for this ability, I stopped using it. Fast forward to adulthood. When I was in college, I would use my ability very cautiously, and my friends were very impressed. I met a young man in college and I would again occasionally use my ability, and he was impressed as well. Many years later we got married and had a child. After my daughter was born, my ability kicked into high gear and I didn't stop to think about being cautious and just used my ability as it came to me. Well, at first my husband thought it was cool. Then he started betting against me, and of course he would always lose. I never gloated, honest. After 22 years of marriage and 15 years of being a parent, I guess he became tired of losing because his brother-in-law asked him why he was always angry with me, and he said that he was tired of me always being right. My parents didn't dismiss it, I did. So, I don't know why, but I seem to have pretty good gaydar. Which is amazing and wonderful since I'm bisexual. But only recently have I noticed that it's kinda weird how accurate it is sometimes. So in French class, we are going over stuff about family. Our French teacher, we will call her Madame Gerway, was talking about her family. She drew 6 stick figures on the board, 2 on top and 4 on the bottom. This represented her nuclear family. Then she wrote the French versions of their names underneath each. Once she wrote her youngest sister's name, I just had a feeling that, yes, that woman is gay. Then, one by one she was going through who each person married. She was old, so all of them were married. Once she got to her youngest sister, she drew another girl. She then talked about how she believed that marriage is between a man and a woman when 9 over 15 people in that class were LGBTQ+. So yes, my gaydar works through drawings, thank you. Another time, I saw a girl who I thought was really cute. Like really cute. This was back at the beginning of the school year. Guess what? I had a feeling that she liked girls, but I brushed off my feelings for her. Later on in the year, the feelings resurfaced, and I found out from a mutual friend of ours that she was bisexual. Now, even though she's my ex, we are really great friends. Maybe it's a gift. It may seem weird and some may dismiss it as déjà vu. The thing is, I have dreams. Dreams of future happenings per se. They don't come every night, and usually it can be a dream mixed with other things that don't relate to it at all, but I always wake up around 3-4 am if I have one. They weird me out, but they are kind of useful. To get ahead in the argument, or if, only once, someone is going to get hurt, I can take care of it. Writing it sounds stupid, but it's honestly true. It is a little terrifying recently though, because my dad's parents stayed for the holidays and the day before they left, I had one. It was basically me having a conversation with my nana, and she said goodbye. As in, her last goodbye. She's had a couple surgeries this past year for an unknown heart condition, one that's most likely similar to the one of her sisters passed away with. It scares me, because now she's back in the hospital for testing, and she's been my role model forever. It's scary to tell it, because in that dream, the day before they left for Florida, it was the last time I physically saw her. It's really scary to realize that, if this dream comes true, I'll never get to hang out with her anymore. She meant a lot to me, and sometimes gifts aren't much, if a blessing as they were meant to be. The one special ability I had at a very early age, and I followed through with it for at least till I was age 81, was to become a professional Broadway singer. Well, my musical ability wasn't that good, so that never happened, but I did a lot of community theater for 27 years, and was in 14 musicals, more than half of which I had the male lead singer, so I enjoyed my life. I had a few really good special situations in my life singing wise, so I actually produced a professional religious CD and a Broadway one. but I wasn't real happy with support music. But I used to do a lot of public singing that where I would sing the national anthem or God Bless America or the famous one from the Civil War. It's right now I'm having a senior moment, can't think of that the Battle Hymn of the Republic. I have a special military CD that has all of the songs but the Coast Guard on it, and to me the Coast Guard song is one of the best ones of the lot. I was a Methodist for many years, Muffin, North Carolina. I went to a Methodist college first, that's why I went into that phase of religion, but I gave that up 15 to 20 years ago when I realized it was a waste of time and ridiculous, so I don't do that anymore. I still have a reasonably good voice at 81, but I don't perform. I have too many senior moments and can't remember the lyrics unless I'm standing in front of the music, but things change and the final payoff is death. How exciting. I have a good sense of humor. When I was in grammar school I used to stand in front of my siblings and tell jokes later in life. That proved to be an asset because people like conversing with those who have a sense of humor. My son and grandkids love my sense of humor. Over the years, I would always put a comic that I made up in my grandkids' birthday cards and Christmas cards. One Christmas, I forget to put a comic in my grandkids' Christmas cards that I sent, and my son called me up the next day and asked me what happened to the comics I used to put in the kids' cards. He said the kids was acting like there was a funeral going on because they were so sad about not getting my comics. I told him I would never forget again. That made me realize how much my sense of humor meant to some people. My daughter-in-law even asked that I start putting a comic in her birthday card that I sent her. I can tell when a woman is pregnant before they show. I can do it with people I know and complete strangers. I'm not sure how, but it's always correct. I remember the funniest time I did this was in E6. I was 11. My friend and I never went outside, but we were close to the teachers, so they were alright with it, unless we interrupted them, so we always stayed out of the ways. One day I remember a group of teachers walking down the hall, and we were walking towards them and I whispered, maybe too loud, that our head of year was pregnant. She stopped and stared at me with the most startled look. After a couple of days the teachers started treating her differently, and a month or so later she was showing. It is a great party trick at school, but people also think I'm being rude or making things up. My parents never believed me until I revealed to them that my aunt was pregnant before the family knew I had seen her when we all met up and could tell. It was funny to see their reaction when she did reveal to us all. Now they always believe me. Driving like a crazy person. I lived in the Minneapolis MN area for over 20 years. While there I frequently drove a full-size van for work. Years later, I'm back in rural North Dakota with my parents. They hate the way I drive. Too fast, too aggressive, taking too many risks. Until I had to go with Dad to Minneapolis for a social security hearing. Dad attempts to drive the highways around the city, freaks out. I was now the driver. Dad was the type of man who never let anybody else drive. He had anxiety attacks watching how I drive, but said he was really glad he didn't have to drive, and I did a good job. My heart grew 10 times that day. If you made it this far, you owe it to yourself to subscribe.